Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 45 of the video series in which we program an entire video game from scratch from beginning to end in the C programming language. So last time we were at this point where we introduced a new type of tile, actually a couple new types of tiles, this portal right here, and we're going to use this portal to teleport to another location in the map. Remember that we drew. Let me get back to my repository, assets, maps. Here it is. Yeah, so we drew this area over here on the right. So we're going to use this portal to teleport from here all the way over to here. But you know what? Before we do that, we need to look at some of the comments that I received on this video, on last time's video. Okay, a few comments that are, saying the series is absolute gold. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for watching. And then there's the next comment says, "Hey man, I love what I'm seeing / learning. I'm almost caught up. You're on video 43 right now, and I'm coming up on the end of my graduate program for CS. I've definitely taken away some things while podcasting your series. I have to podcast it because I don't have time outside of work, because I have to work in school, etc. But you've taught me some things I've yet to come across in my schooling. Yes, 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 all good stuff. But the pace at which you code is liberating in that it reveals to me that coding takes time. You try to say I'm a slow programmer? I'm just kidding, just kidding. If you need music for your game, I'd love to be the one to write it for you. I actually already have music. Music is taken care of. I will probably need an artist to draw tiles and monsters and such, though, before this is all over and done with. Um, Commenter also says, by the way, I noticed you're wearing a Tejas t-shirt in one of your videos. You wouldn't happen to be near the San Marcos, Austin area, would you? It'd be pretty cool if I could get you food or something after this whole COVID thing's over. It'd also be pretty, okay, future project, etc., etc. Okay, awesome. I'm in the DFW area, Dallas-Fort Worth. Um, all right. Next commenter says, one way to neatly draw a line in tiled would be to position the mouse in the column you want to paint, then hold both the button and the down arrow key. Okay, that is a good idea. Thank you. Last time, if you recall, if you watched the previous episode, I was struggling to draw a straight line in the tiled application. So I will remember that for next time because I will definitely need to do that again. Okay, so I think that does it for the comments. So let's go back to this game and let's just keep going. So the first problem that I notice here is the portal, and again, I'm not, I just basically drew like this really low effort portal looking thing. But later on, it's going to be, it's probably going to be it could be a staircase, it could be a doorway, an actual wooden door, it could be a gate, um, it could be all kinds of things. It could be anything. If you think back to, um, I'm thinking of a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo right now. That game had little portals in it like this, and that's widely regarded as one of the most one of the best video games ever made, right? So um, we might keep the concept of portals. I don't know, but anyway, the first problem is you can see that it's working fine in that the value of the tile is 5, which it picked up from that TMX file. Um, but I can't walk on it. That's the first problem. So what we need to do is we need to define it in tiles.h. We need to make a definition for this, and we're going to call it tile portal 01, and it's going to be a 5. And while I'm here, I suppose I should define all the other types of tiles that I've been using as well. So I think I'm going to open this in the map editor in the tiled program. So if I hover over this, yeah, if I hover over these, so if I hover over these tiles, you can see down in the bottom left-hand corner, it does give me a preview of the value of the tile, but I also see that it's 0 indexed, which is funny because that's not what it actually is in the TMX file. So, for example, what I'm trying to say is if I hover over this tile of grass right here, and then I look at the bottom left-hand corner, it tells me, well, it tells me the X and Y coordinate that I'm on, but it also tells me the value of the tile is 0. And we know that the value of this tile is actually 1. So it's just the difference between being starting at 0 and starting at 1. And likewise, if we hover over the portal, we know that our portal has a value of 5, but in this app right here, it's telling us that it has a value of 4 because it starts counting at 0. So that's kind of annoying, but we will just deal with it. We know that the portals. So this brick tile. If I hover over it, it's telling me that it has a value of 3. So that probably means that it actually has a value of 3, 4. So let me see if I get this right. Define tile. Let's do debug 01 has a value of 3. Yeah, 2 is actually 3, and then 3, which is actually 4. Tile brick 01 has a value of 4. That'll do it. Now I need to go over to main.c. I need to go to WinMain. And you know what? Actually, what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new function. And I'm going to call it void assign or initialize globals. New function day. Initialize globals. I'm going to go to main.c. I'm going to create it. Now I'm going to go to WinMain and I'm going to go and find where I assign, here we go, wrap these things into some function like initialize globals. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to call it initialize globals. There we go. Initialize globals. And I could probably get rid of this initialize hero function and just put the initialize hero function inside the initialize globals. I don't know, maybe not. I think in the future this is going to be part of, so when you've started a game and you're playing the game, and let's say for some reason you decide you want to start over or you want to load a different save game, I'm going to, instead of forcing you to restart the game, I'm going to just reset all of the variables back to their initial state for, prepare everything for a new game, right? So this is probably going, this function will be used in that way. Okay. So what I was actually trying to do is add these G passable tiles 1 equals tile portal 1 and G passable tiles. It doesn't really matter what order these are in, right? These could be in any order because I'm just going to iterate through all of them. I just need to make sure that every tile that I am allowed to walk on ends up in this array somewhere. And while I'm here, I can make a new area. G, let's call it Dungeon 1 area. And this area is actually going to be, we need to define this in pixels. So I'm actually going to open this BMPX in paint.net. I'm going to zoom in right here. So looks like this actually starts at $38.56. 38.56 and 0. G Dungeon 01 area equals $38.56. Top 0. Oh, this needs to be a comma, not a semicolon. Right. The right-hand side of it is 4240. And the bottom is bottom is 38.55, right? No, I'm sorry, 240. It's 240. Yeah. Interesting. So we're going to see how that works out. I don't know how it's going to work out. Okay. So at this point, we should at least be able to step on the portal. I am quite perplexed as to how that just happened. Gamepad. Do we have a bug that I I mean, I didn't change anything that would have caused the starting game state to be the gamepad disconnected game state, right? I mean, we already know that this shouldn't be game state opening splash. How do you, I forget how we, but I shouldn't have to do this because this has a value of 0, and G current game state is already initialized to 0 on account of it being a global. What in the world? Alright, let's just pause it for now. G current game state is what in the world? Unknown error? What? Debug. Okay, let me go to WinMain. Let me go to my loop here. Okay, so I need to figure out how G current game state gets to be 7. It's been working perfectly this whole time, and we didn't change anything. We didn't change anything related to that game state. Main.c. Oh, wait. We did change something. We did change gamepad ID. That must be what is causing it. So let me think my way through this. All right, so gamepad ID, which is right here. There it is. It is a signed integer, gamepad ID, and it's a global, so it's initialized to 0. We start the game in WinMain. It's going. It's 0. We get to this point, and we call initialize globals. And we haven't done anything else interesting up to this point. initialize globals. We call initialize globals. We set gamepad ID to -1. And then we get here, if gamepad ID, somehow gamepad ID is okay, set a breakpoint there. Gamepad ID. What? Gamepad ID is 5? Gamepad ID is greater than -1. Gamepad ID. Okay, gamepad ID is 0, which is where it should be right now. Now it's -1, and now it's 5. What is going on here? Did you guys see that? Let's run it again. Okay. Gamepad ID, watch it. It's 0 right now. Step. Step. Now I'm at this line. I assign -1. G passable tile 0. Oh. Oh my goodness. Wow. I know what it is. I know what is causing this. So I'm overwriting because I forgot to tell I forgot to increase the size of this array. I forgot to increase the size of the G passable tiles array. So when I start assigning, as I start assigning more values to this G passable tiles array, I'm assigning more like there, like this doesn't actually exist, and so it's actually overriding into the next variable because apparently gamepad ID is sitting right next to it. So this is a good learning moment right here. Um, so let's go look at our memory for a second. I want to know where G gamepad ID is in memory. So if I just do address of G gamepad ID is this copy value. Okay, there it is right there. there is the address of, there's our variable ggamepad ID, which right now is -1. It's -1, the byte FF. If it were an unsigned variable, that would be 255, but since it's signed, value of FF is -1. Now I want you to see what is the address of G passable tiles, which is an array, right? It is 91815. 91815. Yeah, look, there it is. Okay, so our G passable tiles array is at memory location 91815, and then G gamepad ID is at 91816. So there's just one byte. They're literally packed right next to each other in memory. So assigning a value to the to this element of this array is the same as assigning a value to G gamepad ID, because wow, I'm actually like, okay, so mystery solved, but I'm really surprised that like the compiler didn't warn me about this. So how do we avoid this situation in the future? I'm really surprised that the compiler didn't warn me. Hey, you are assigning values to an array. You're assigning more values to this array than the array can actually hold. So, I mean, I guess I could just go ahead and... No, I don't want to make it unnecessarily large, though. Because we have to iterate over this array every frame, so I would prefer it to be as small as possible, or there's no reason to make it larger than it needs to be, or else it's just going to contain a bunch of zeros. Well, right now there's just 3 things we can walk on, so I don't... we need some way to warn us about this in the future, though. Sorry, I'm really upset that the compiler didn't warn me about this. I mean, if the compiler can't warn me about something like, hey, you're assigning more values into an array than the array is able to hold, if it can't warn me about something like that, what else is it not warning me about? You know, that frustrates me. I guess I could. What if I? Okay. What if I do this? Assert assert count of G passable tiles equals 3. Okay. So now at least we will crash here. Crashing, in my opinion, is much more is preferable to writing overwriting variables that you didn't mean to overwrite and not having any clue about what's going on and having to debug it. Uh, yeah, in my opinion, is exactly what assertions are for. Um, every time we run into a teachable moment like that, where you know we we learn something about how to debug our program and the sort of bugs that we run into, let's make an assert for it so that it doesn't happen to us again in the future, or when it does happen to us again, we'll be able to figure out what we did wrong much faster. I like that. The compiler now warns me that I'm checking a constant expression. Let me get rid of this breakpoint. Okay, now we are at least back to normal, and we can now walk on our portal, which is fantastic. But what needs to happen now is when we walk on our portal, it needs to actually transport us. So what is that going to look like? I propose that what we do is we should probably make another function here in overworld.h, something that is specific to the overworld game state, and I'm going to call it something like portal handler. And like I said, portal is a stand-in word that could be used for any sort of, door or staircase or anything like that. It doesn't actually have to be a portal. Um, it just so happens to be, in this case, it literally is a magic portal. All right, let's overworld.c. Let's go here to the bottom of overworld.c and define this function. There we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to I guess it would be process player input, wouldn't it? Not the draw function, but the PPI function. Okay, if the player has no movement remaining, it means the player is standing still, which I want this portal handler function to be, I want this to only happen once. So let's see, All right, if I go down here, when I switch on movement remaining, when my movement remaining gets down to 0, I can do a test of whether the player is currently standing on a portal or not. Is the player standing on a portal or door or staircase, etc.? And the formula that we use to get that is this right here. Equals okay. So we're going to do if our position is, and I'm going to remove that -1 there. Okay, our X and Y position equals tile portal 01. Then we do a portal handler. But I only want this to happen once, so what I'm going to have to do is somewhere in portal handler, I'm going to have to, I think when I transport the player all the way from here all the way over to here, I'm actually going to have to, I'm going to have to put you like right here, right? Because if I landed you here on this portal, it would run the portal handler function again on the next frame, and that's not what we want. I'll make sure I don't save that. Okay. So in this situation, I think we should probably say if gplayer dot world position x is what? Let's just run it and see what my world position is when I stand on that portal. Okay, when I stand on this portal, my world XY is 272.80. 272. And gplayer dot worldpose dot y equals 80. Then we know we're standing on that portal that we made. So, you know, I don't like hard coding these constants in here, so I'm probably going to have to make more variables that's like, you know, portal 01 position that has an XY coordinate so that I can change it there, you know. Eventually this game is going to have lots of doorways, so I'm going to have to come up with some elegant way of storing all of the doorways, probably in a an array, just like how we do with the passable tiles, so that I can loop through them and determine, okay, you're obviously standing on a portal, but which portal are you standing on? Because I'll probably have a thousand different portals by the time this game is done. But that's okay. We're just trying to get something that works here, and then we'll pretty it up later. All right. So if you're standing there, else you're standing on that other portal, um, or else assert something or other. We'll say assert player is standing on a portal, but we do not have a portal handler for it. Cool. All right, so if you're standing there, we're going to teleport you. We're going to teleport you to all the way over to here. So what is this XY? This is 3 tiles down. So 16, 32. This will be 0, 16, 32, right? It's 245. Times 16, 3920. Let's do 246 times 16, 3936. I think is where I want to teleport you to. 3936. Okay. gplayer dot world pose dot x equals 3936. gplayer dot world pose dot y equals 32, I think. We need to move the camera. We need to move the camera to right here. So it'll be like 3856, 0. 3856 and 0. What about gplayer.screen position? Maybe the same. Maybe it goes unchanged. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Okay. Camera is out of bounds. Oh, and that's correct. Okay. Stop. Here's what we need to do is we need to main.c. Let's go back to right where we were, overworld.c. We need to make a new variable here. Overworld.h, g overworld area, dungeon 01 area, g current area. Okay, and in main.c, in initialize globals, we're going to do G current area equals G overworld area. Okay. But now in overworld.c in our portal handler, we are going to set G current area to G dungeon 01 area. Okay, and now we can go back to here and change all of this to G current area. Oh, nope, that's not right. I don't like this. Oh man, I don't feel very good about that. That didn't feel very good to me. But let's plow forward and see what happens. Okay. Okay, that almost worked. That almost worked. I think we just need to we need to modify the player's screen position. Which let's just go ahead and do it. G player screen position X equals, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. We know we want it to be right here. So it's going to be 30, 39, 36, and 32, right? Screen position, oh, well, screen position is relative to here. So it's going to be like 1, 2, 3, something like 5 tiles over. Okay. So it's going to be something like this, be 80. And 32. Did I put both of the... That's not right. Is it? No. Can be. All right, so it looks like we can our camera, it can be pushed 1 or 2 pixels too far to the right over here. So we're going to fix that. We can't go to the left, which is good. Can't go down, which is good. I'm also not crashing, which is good. We should just push a little bit too far to the right is the only thing. And then we need to add the code to get us back home after we hit this portal again, right? $39.20 and 32. $39.20. Equals 32. Then do that. I'm still thinking about that comment from last episode where the commenter suggested that instead of hard coding these values, that instead we have the camera just search for the pink tile, the debug tile, and just not, not pan the camera any further once it finds that pink, that or hideous purple tile. Which that sounds like a pretty good idea, but I would still have an issue where I would still need to hard code or define like the rectangles of where all these areas are because I would I still have to tell the camera where it needs to go. Um, or maybe if I invented some sort of algorithm where the camera would basically we just take the location of the player and then I basically tell the camera, okay, now go scan for the nearest pink or hideous purple tile that you can find relative to the player's position and set the camera there. That might work. That also sounds hard because which way do I scan? Do I scan up or to the left or I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that we should be able to copy most of this code to take us back home. We want our world position X to be 272, world position Y to be 80. Actually, no, I don't want to sit you on the portal. I want to sit you one tile over from the portal. So 272 plus is 288. And again, I am definitely going to have to do something about all these hard-coded, numbers in here. I'm going to have to make symbols for them. This will be like portal 1x coordinate, or portal 1x, portal 1y, or something like that. I don't know. Or I could save these values into a um, last last known position, basically. Like, I could just save these variables. Where was the player before he stepped into this portal? We know the camera, since we're in the top left hand corner, is going to be 0, 0, and we're going to go back to the overworld area. Hang on. Seems to work okay. All right, the only bug we need to fix is this one right here, where I can push a little bit too far. Now, why is that? Is it the is it this that's wrong? I'm inclined to say it must be this that's wrong, because this was working fine with just the overworld. 4242. Yeah, it is wrong, because look, the entire bitmap is only 4240. So I don't know why I put 4242 in there. Let's make it 4240. Mm-hmm. Looking good. Okay, camera is working fine. Well, okay, that's all there is to it. Um, not It's not very elegant right now, but it works, and we can definitely make it prettier. I just wanted to get it working first, and it works. So pretty happy about it, and that took just about 1 hour. So I think that's all the time we have for today. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy watching the development process of making this game, then please hit like on the video and subscribe to this channel and tell your friends, all that good stuff. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave those questions or comments on the video. It doesn't have to be about this episode. It can be about any episode. I will address any interesting questions and or comments in an upcoming episode. Also, don't forget that we have a GitHub repository to go along with this video channel. I keep it updated in step with the video so that you can clone the repository and follow along at home. And that is all I have for today. So see you in a few days. Thanks again for watching. Bye.